Hello there guys, Ballot here, bringing you another Super Smash Bros. Ultimate video, and today we're taking a look at a leak that just got posted on 4chan that I thought was extremely interesting. It claims to know the results of the Smash Ballot and what Sakurai personally thought about the Smash Ballot. And we're going to actually just read through this together. We're going to actually just sit here together, read through it. I'm going to tell you my thoughts as we go. It's kind of funny. There are some good moments, some meh moments. It's going to be a good leak. So, let's begin. And you can find a link to this link down below in the description. Believe this or don't, you'll ultimately see as we get closer to Smash Ultimate's release. Oh yeah, believe this or don't, because the leakers that leak this game are tsunderes. And clearly they don't want you to believe it, but they want you to believe it. You know, they don't care, but they do care. It's a popular attitude for leakers to have, and usually it means that the leak is fake, because most leakers just come in, dump their info, and leave. But you know, this guy's got a bit of personality. For those who are interested in knowing some details about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, here are some details I've learned from my sources at Nintendo, Bandai Namco, and at a few other companies closely associated with the Smash Bros. And the Smash Ballot. As many have figured, the Smash Ballot was indeed used to plan Smash Bros. Ultimate. However, the entire concept of the game is using the ballot as a center point. Sakurai is making newly relevant characters a very low priority, so don't expect characters like Decidueye, Springman, Rex and Pyra, or Edelgard in the base roster. But they may very well be DLC. DLC is not fully quite decided yet. There is one exception to this exclusion of new characters, however. Currently relevant things will appear as things like costumes, music, or an occasional stage or assist trophy. So that kind of fits with what we've got going so far. We haven't seen much in terms of new games so far in Smash. However, I think saying that the game is going to be completely based around the ballot is something we haven't proven yet, so who knows. The leak currently right now is looking fairly okay. Sakurai originally planned for 12 completely new characters and 2 Echo Fighters, expecting it to be manageable to match the increase from the original to Melee. Legal and business reasons, however, meant he had to scrap 2 of these new characters. He is expecting to be done with these new characters by the end of July, and will then begin creating as many additional Echo Fighters as he can before the game goes gold in about 2 months. He is considering newer or more relevant characters like the Octolings, Celica, and Alm for these Echo Fighters. Last I heard, expecting to be able to manage including 3 to 4 additional Echo Fighters into the roster to compensate for the 2 cut characters. Due to ratings concerns, Sakurai is not considering characters from MD-rated or mature TC-rated games as these last-minute Echo Fighters. So, already, there is a little bit of a contrast to what Sakurai told us at the end of the Smash E3 Direct. Don't expect many newcomers. We're hoping you're not expecting too many newcomers. So, 12 completely new characters, said he needed to scrap 2. That means this leak is saying there are 10 new characters and then Echo Fighters. 2 Echo Fighters and then more coming. So, I don't believe this. This already is a red flag for me. But let's keep seeing. Let's see what they say about actual characters in the Smash Ballot. Let's get to the next page here. Alright, several third-party characters were a struggle to get the rights to use. One of these was Bomberman, who was cut and made an assist trophy instead. Bomberman was fairly popular worldwide in the ballot, but Sakurai and Konami couldn't come to an agreement on how to represent Bomberman in Smash Bros. With a reasonable moveset and abilities. Sakurai spent several months making changes to Bomberman and trying to figure out a way to make him work and satisfy Konami, but Konami was never satisfied. Sakurai eventually decided to abandon a playable Bomberman after falling months behind schedule, instead submitting a concept for an assist trophy that Konami approved without many changes required. So, this is someone basically writing a fanfiction as to why Bomberman is an assist trophy. There's no proof at all that this is what happened, but it would make sense, I think. I do know that Bomberman was fairly popular, but whether he got votes or not is another thing entirely. But he is an assist trophy, so... The other cut character was Crystal, who hadn't gotten far into development and was one of the less requested characters from the ballot, so was not a good choice for DLC. Due to being behind schedule, Sakurai chose to scrap her and make her an assist trophy as well, so she'd be included in some way at least. So this is trying to basically explain why these assist trophies exist. The 2 planned Echo Fighters were Daisy and Shadow, who both had notable presence in the ballot, but weren't that high, not making the top 10 worldwide, excluding veterans. Sakurai saw the opportunity to base these two on existing characters and thought he'd throw the fanbases a bone. Shadow may end up being a semi-clone due to some requirements from Sega that may make him a little too different for Sakurai to feel comfortable calling him an Echo Fighter. See, I just have to wonder, how do they know what Sakurai is thinking? Like, Sakurai doesn't just talk to everyone about how he's feeling about each of these different decisions. I don't think that's how it works at all. It is so hard to believe, but this leak has put so much effort into it, and I actually really like it for what it says. Veterans did very well in the ballot, and that fact led to Sakurai deciding to bring every past character back, assuming he could secure the rights to certain uncertain characters like Snake. Ridley was one of the most popular characters in the ballot, and Sakurai decided this time he would figure out how to make Ridley work to give the fans what they wanted. Inkling actually did decently in the ballot despite the Mii costumes, which surprised Sakurai a little and secured them a place. Now we're getting into questionable territory. Ridley was popular in Western culture, but we know that he wasn't that popular in Japan. So how could he be one of the most popular characters in the ballot if one of the areas voting didn't like him that much? And Inkling surprising Sakurai? I don't see that happening. I think everyone was well aware that the Inklings were definitely coming to the next Smash, so that doesn't make that much sense. K. Rool was another very popular character worldwide, though less so in Japan than other regions. K. Rool is going to be an all-new character taking inspiration from many of his appearances and classic boss battles. Now here is where the leak starts to really lose me, because King K. Rool is extremely popular in Japan. People like him in Japan. He's not like not popular there, people like him, so that kinda doesn't make sense. Dixie Kong also did pretty well, but was not a frontrunner. She'll be a semi-clone of Diddy Kong in much the same way as Luigi is to Mario, that's, just standard fare. Isaac was much more popular than Sakurai expected, especially in Europe, but not on par with Ridley or K. Rool. I actually believe this is an educated guess. Someone has either been looking at Isaac boards and seen that he had popularity in Europe and is using this as a basis, because that is true. Isaac has had popularity in Europe especially. This surprise popularity led to Sakurai making them high priority alongside King K. Rool, Ridley, and Inkling. If this is the truth, this is the only reason why I want this leak to be true. It's false, but I'm going to believe it because of the nice things it said about my boy. My boy. Ashley was very popular in Japan and fairly popular elsewhere, and has been chosen to appeal to Japanese players, standard fare. Cosmos has a dedicated but quiet fan base, voting which coincided with Monolith Soft and Bandai Namco both wanting to see her be included in Smash Bros. And cameo in Xenoblade 2. Sakurai saw a great deal of potential in her moveset, and it was a perfect storm despite her being a little less popular than several other characters who didn't make the project plan. I can understand this. I don't know Cosmos specifically. I think she's from Xenogears? Or she's from the game that's before Xenoblade. I don't know what game that was in the franchise, but I know that she has her fans. There are people who are requesting her in my Rate Their Characters thread, or the Rate Their Chances things, so I could see this being true to an extent. Gino has been considered often by Sakurai and also performed very well on the ballot. Sakurai made a point to figure out how to satisfy Square Enix, and they were more reasonable than Konami. I believe that. I really believe that, because Square Enix is kinda cool. Konami hasn't had the best track record, so whatever. Shovel Knight was relatively popular for what he is. Initially, Sakurai was leaning against including him, but ultimately decided to talk with Yacht Club Games and came around to the idea. Yacht Club Games reportedly offered to help Nintendo and Sakurai in any way they could with Shovel Knight. That's definitely in character for Yacht Club Games, but at the same time, I don't think it's realistic. I just feel like if they're gonna go for an indie character, it would be Shantae because she has more Nintendo history, and she's just been more deserving, I think, of that Nintendo spot. But, if Shovel Knight does get in, this is a realistic scenario, I feel. Chibi Robo saw a shocking spike in the final days of the ballot after Nintendo's grim comments about how Ziplash needed to sell well. Sakurai had to twist a few arms at Nintendo, but Chibi Robo will be in this Smash Bros. At least, and Nintendo are reportedly planning to release the original Chibi Robo digitally next year to gauge the franchise's popularity one last time. The picture of the flaming Chibi Robo seems to be something Kensuke Tanabe is using to remind his team of the passion the fans have for Chibi Robo. Right, that flaming Chibi Robo picture, everyone thought it was like a Smash thing. I do think that if Chibi Robo is getting in, this explanation makes sense, but at the same time, it makes so much sense that it just feels fake. if that makes any sense. Like, this leak does not feel real in the slightest, but it is great to see what these people are coming up with, these leakers are trying to come up with. Bandana Waddle Dee was another surprise for Sakurai. Initially, Sakurai considered dismissing him due to having trouble thinking of a moveset, but spent a couple days brainstorming with HAL Laboratory. Bandana Waddle Dee's moveset in Star Allies is based on some of these brainstorming sessions. Sakurai was hesitant though and decided he wouldn't quite fit this time, which means that Bandana Waddle Dee isn't going to be a player if we're going by this, which is kind of shocking if this is true. I really think that Bandana Waddle Dee has a pretty built-in moveset. I think his spear moveset is interesting. I think he could have a really cool moveset, and I think that this just doesn't really make much sense. He's got a lot of, like, appearances to pull from. Paper Mario also did relatively well on the ballot in America, but Sakurai ultimately decided to include the more popular Geno, who would have a more straightforward and unique moveset in his eyes. Sakurai instead planned to bring back the stage and look into including some Paper Mario assist trophies. I don't get this. I don't get why Paper Mario and Geno are fighting for each other's spot, because Geno isn't fighting to be a Super Mario RPG rep, he's fighting to be a Square Enix rep. Paper Mario's got nothing to do with that, so I'm not sure what that justification is. And the last page, Belmont, a character including various Belmonts as alternates, was briefly considered early on, but Bomberman was far more popular and iconic and was chosen instead. Sakurai expected difficulty from Konami and didn't want to negotiate 3 characters. I could see this being true, but at the same time everybody thinks that Simon Belmont's going to be in the game, so I'm sure that this is going to be a cause for controversy. Fiora had a small following, she was added to Shulk's Final Smash. Proto Man and Bass had a small presence, so Sakurai chose to include them in Mega Man's Final Smash. Paula, Pooh, Kumatora, and Boney all had some minor presence in the ballots. They were included in Ness and Lucas's Final Smashes. And now, I read this, and that was what cemented that this is the fakest leak in the universe. From what I've heard, Waluigi seems to be Sakurai's favorite Mario character, and the one he identifies with most. But he doesn't want to be the one to add him because he is afraid he is too biased. I've heard the recent and hateful Waluigi backlash left him with very mixed emotions. So, there's so much wrong with this. 1, Waluigi is Sakurai's favorite Mario character. I just find that incredibly difficult to believe. And 2, bias has not stopped Sakurai before. Kid Icarus, Smash 4, that's all I'm gonna say. So it made me laugh. That kind of proves this leak is probably fake, but at the same time, I really want to believe this leak because of Isaac. Anyway, many Western fans also expressed requests outside of the chosen character. It took a long time, but Sakurai had a team group and list some of the frequently recurring requests, like directional air dodges, stage hazard toggles, a better menu UI, and a faster game pace. Sakurai isn't sure he wants to have another worldwide ballot, although he values what he has learned about the West's desires. I think that makes sense. I do think that Sakurai, and I think to an extent Japan, does have a disconnect with what the West wants in comparison to what Japan wants. So I think it makes sense that Sakurai is glad to understand what the West wants from the ballot. I'm not saying that this guy who's leaking this is confirming that Sakurai is happy about learning what the West wants. I think that's just something that's going to come naturally, regardless of any leaks saying it or not. And lastly, Bayonetta did not actually win the ballot or do particularly well in any region. Nintendo and Platinum Games wanted it to be added to the fan service characters. Could be saved for the Switch game. This goes hand in hand with the information that Bayonetta was planned before the ballot ended. At the same time, she probably could have done well in the ballot, and I don't, like, we can't prove that she did or didn't, so ending that leak on a bit of a low note. There's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, but this is certainly one of the more interesting leaks that's come out. It's gone into a lot of detail, tried to give reasonings for each and every decision, and while I think that this is fake as hell, absolutely fake, it does too many things wrong. I do think that there could be a grain of truth to some of these statements, so who knows. I want to hear what you guys think about this leak, though. What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? Did you find any of it funny or interesting? And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. thank you so much for watching today's third video. Yeah, 3 videos today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed covering this leak. Shout out to my patrons. You can find them down below. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other Smash Bros videos, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.